Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to War Hospital. It's episode 23. We continue on with clearing out the casualties of the last battle. Nothing left at the front. It's all with us now, but we're also, continually getting the additional patients from other fronts. So that's kept us awfully busy. But we're getting down to the end of it. You can see in the surgery ward, we're almost there, but we're currently out of resources, though we do have a shipment on the way. Trauma ward is crazy. It's incredibly busy, very backed up. Things are not terribly good on that front. This guy is resting now, but the others are active. And the chemical ward has almost nothing. It's almost entirely the trauma ward, and it's a situation that's just slowly gotten worse and worse, primarily because each surgery in the trauma ward is just incredibly long. Like the average surgery, I think, is about 12 hours. We're now 100% done with all of our camp improvements, and therefore all those extra engineers are now busy and working in the various areas. I'd like to have an extra one here, but for whatever reason it's still locked, even though we've unlocked everything. Whatever, maybe there's an event that would unlock that, but while we still have space there, I don't think we need to do anything. We have no staff points anyway. But in terms of staff points in the higher personnel area, we're almost done. We have one scout team and 2 engineer slots. That's it. We are that close to maximum. 3 scout teams, but finally there is a new unlocked. We have behind enemy lines. HQ requests a scout team from the hospital for some covert operation. It looks like 2 of them are a little bit closer, so we'll send one of them. Last episode was a slow start with losing a patient immediately, and then we went on to lose the most that we've lost in any episode for this chapter. Today, though, we're a perfect 10 for 10 so far. Obviously, it's not going to stay like that long term, but all in all, things have been better. But here we go. Is this the big event? We keep waiting. Some sort of big event's going to happen, some sort of big change that's going to bring us a bunch of patients and make things tough. Well, HQ has decided to mount a great push on other parts of the front in an effort to break the German defense line. We were able to send them a platoon. Okay, that's the fifth platoon of soldiers, presumably, as we've had 2 from each of the subsequent or recent battles. I suspect that we're going to end up with another request here fairly soon, as we get a couple new patients coming into the CCS. No, that was 2 back-to-back. So we did have 2 back-to-back on that last one, or at least we did get the double trigger and the double icon on that one. Both new patients are general surgery. That makes that easy. We've apparently got somebody to collapse. Well, that's a rough negative event. This is one of the worst I've seen. Talking about triple difficulty going to a 5. That's really harsh. You're talking about operation is aborted and they die, or increased cost and increased difficulty. Usually the increased cost will offset and make things still be normal, or maybe it'll make it a longer operation, but it's rare to see something of that nature for that negative event that we just got there. But that shipment did arrive, so we have 36 surgical supplies right now. We have plenty of freight. Only 20 trauma supplies, where our chemical supplies are nearly maxed out. Trauma has been so busy. But slowly but surely we are starting to clear out. We're down to our last patient here in the general surgery ward. Trauma ward is still way behind, but the list is getting shorter. It is getting shorter. And it looks like we could probably get this guy, yeah, there you go, push his rest back a bit. Saw this one come in. Here's that next request, another platoon, 24 more requested for the front. And just as we're getting things under control from that last battle, the next battle's coming on here really soon. Request for food. Staff permits, 96 food, 2 staff permits, and we actually just got additional staff permits. We have 6 staff permits from 0. But that took all of our food. Not just some of it, it took all. We have 24 food rations. It's all that is left. So They went a little overboard, but with 6, here's what we're going to do. Hire personnel, and we have 2 engineers for 4 points, and 1 final scout team, and that's it. This is maxed out. I don't know if we're going to get an achievement for it or not, but one would think and hope that that's going to be the case. Scout mission, that new one, in search of the abandoned. Reaching HQ, the scouts were greeted by a British intelligence officer. Took the scouts to a room deep in HQ to explain the mission. A couple of days ago, during the last retreat, part of the Allied troops didn't evacuate in time. They were presumed to have been killed by the enemy, but more recent information suggests that some units were still alive and were fighting behind the enemy lines. HQ would like the scouts to verify this information and, if possible, bring the units back to the hospital alive to bolster the defenses on the front line. Scout commander looked at the current map of the front line and frowned. They would need to establish a new route to cross over to the enemy side undetected. Establish a longer but safer route. No use dying on the way. Leaving HQ, scouts know that if they are to verify the information from the officer, they will need to take some sort of German post or telegraph station and compare the information against the German reports. But before that, safe way to traverse no man's land needs to be established, even if it meant a time-consuming search or a longer route. All right, next set of battles are now showing up, and they're getting closer together. We've got 2 back-to-back a day apart. We're definitely going to need to send additional units to the front to get those dealt with. And nice, that's a good one. Clearing station. Oh, CCS just, yeah. we just got 10 new patients. 2 for the trauma ward. That's of course the worrying one. Oh, we did lose one here during operation also a couple hours ago, so we've lost 1 today. That's the one where we're okay. We do have supplies there. Let's not increase the risk. Let's save that patient. Nice. A couple good positive ones there back to back. Helped offset that negative one we just picked up. German reports. German outpost turned out to be some kind of telegraph station, probably for dispatching orders and gathering data from this part of the front. It was made from multiple cars loaded with telegraph cables and equipment, 2 tents, and around 10 men, of which 4 were probably telegraph officers. Further observation revealed, however, that the German guards must be veterans, as they had much better equipment than standard soldiers. We're talking about 6 well-armed, less risky plan. Requires an additional 10 hours. We're very early in our process. Let's take the additional 10 hours. We have a patient that's now terminal, and it's his turn. It's his turn. This guy's rested, but we're not getting out there to see him. Ambulance has brought in additional patients. Let's see what we have. Good thing, finally, nothing trauma ward. It's all surgery ward. It's actually 4 new patients. With everyone well rested, we can get them all operated on immediately. New nurse, Daisy Greenhouse, has leveled up, and she's got a trio of bad. 300th patient saved of the chapter, which is incredible. It's an incredible rate, but we're going to have to get to 410 if we're going to make that a 10-to-1 as we go and lose another patient. Died during operation.
Artillery fire!
Here comes the next attack. We're going to have to switch our medic teams back to the 24-hour model here in just a moment. I literally just finally got the nurses back under control. The engineers are not. I don't know what's going on with the engineers. They are really suffering. This one's gas. That's probably a good thing for us. Chemical means more chemical wounds this time. And our chemical ward is ready. Our trauma ward is still backed up.
Sir, report from the battle.
Report.
Our forces from the east were redirected west to retake Lost Lavalette Forest. The attack was partially successful.
That sounds promising.
Okay.
Well,
Covered
sir,
some ground to the right.
It appears it was a trap. At the same time as our attack, Germans launched strikes at the western riverbank and the eastern distributary, successfully taking ground.
So, the 36th was the only force that successfully repelled the enemy. Our part of the front line is now officially the biggest thorn in the German side. I think the enemy commander will take our resistance personally.
So far, everything's resembling our last battle with a head count of already 53, and quite possibly more in the next few minutes. Means we're going to have our hands full trying to get them away from the front, as we're really just getting our first wave of medics heading in there now. We do have our 8 teams assigned, but how quickly can they clear 53 patients away from the front? It's going to take them quite some time with just that sheer number. Therefore, like last time, I suspect we're going to have issues. Also having issues, we are running out of food right here, right now. Let's do something about that. Food rations. We got 130 contracts, so 13 for food, no problem. 7 for alcohol, there's 20 right there. Trauma supplies are low. Let's get them a good amount. Surgical supplies likewise. 50 it is. We're going to spend 50 contracts, most we've ever spent, but it's going to really help us with our supply. Kind of wish we did it a little while ago. German reports, after memorizing the patrol routes, avoiding 4 guards on patrol was the easy part. Then came the 2 officers in the tent, but they were dispatched quickly and German reports are taken. On the way back, everything goes smoothly until one of the scouts is spotted. He is hit with a near instant and continuous rain of bullets, killing him instantly. It was the MP-18 submachine gun, a new weapon for the stormtroopers, elite German soldiers. Knowing they have little chance against them, the commander orders to retreat. Reports were inconclusive, as the Germans decided to attribute the attacks to some kind of local resistance. After reviewing the information, scouts found 3 potential places to check where the Allied forces could be operating. So we lost 1 member of that team, unfortunately. Even doing it the safe way. And just like that, we have lots of new information. So our scout teams are suddenly going to be very active. We have a Friar in trouble. We have one way out here, Country Road to Hell. There's a lot of activity out here, and this is where we just were. This is the closest to the 1 team. Yeah, 5 hours away for Kai Murray's team. According to the first German report, German patrols were frequently attacked in the last couple of days in a nearby forest. Could be worth investigating. So we'll send that team there. Looks like our other teams are all going to be, 14 hours. According to the second German report, patrols are frequently ambushed on roads in the area. Could be worth investigating. So we'll send this team out that way. We'll check on the Friar in trouble. With each passing day, Friar Tuck's monastery is getting closer and closer to the front line. Scouts would like to check up on the friars and persuade them to evacuate from the monastery. 9 hours for that mission. We still have 1 team remaining. We have, let's see, Village Dilemma 1, 2, and 3. Well, I suppose we'll start with 1. According to the third German report, big group of men armed with rifles have been seen in different villages in the region. Could be worth investigating. We have 1 team without a dog. We'll go ahead and add the dog there. Got a medic team that just leveled up. Meanwhile, the ADS first group is coming in, but we're going to have to find... There we go. Get rid of bitter. Sounds wonderful, unless we want to swap out reserved. That's cemetery. Get rid of the reserved. We'll go for composed. Cemetery, they're usually working alone anyway. Okay. First patients are arriving. 2 trauma patients, even though we're supposed to be getting chemical ones here. Another nurse has leveled up. She's got 2 negative traits. We can't do anything about those yet. She is working here, so we'll give her that option. Triple events, start with the -1. Ouch. Longer rehab. It's already a terrible situation to begin with. Our next battle is only good, so we do have some work to do to get up there. Looks like we also lost some strength because I thought we were good. There we go. There. So we did lose some strength at the front. And we just spent a ton of HQ points, so let's make sure we're at least getting 10 more on the go. That battle's good. This one's... Or that battle's great. This one's still just good. Only a day later, but it looks like it's going to be an easier battle. They do have more time to prepare for this one, but... a lot of new patients just came in. We've definitely had a good start to the day, but the ADS, 41, 38 of them still in the trenches, means we are bound to take some losses there. And there goes our first 2 losses of the day. We don't even get a notice about it, so that was clearly still at the front. And we suddenly have a wide number of patients that are not going to make it, apparently. Looks like we're going to have to deny one for the first time in a long time. We're going to have some decisions to make in that trauma ward here in the next few minutes. That's not the only one that's going to be denied. That whole area is down to stable or worse. Alright, scout events are going to come in thick and fast now that we have that intel. Dangerous forest. Scout team reaches the forest where the attacks on the German convoys happened. They quickly find signs of combat on the road and tracks leading deep into the woods. Scout commander orders his men to follow the tracks, but they quickly stumble upon a German patrol moving in the opposite direction. These are scout teams. They are not supposed to be combat teams, so hide and wait them out. Observing the enemy squad, commander quickly notices that some of them are wounded and the entire squad seemed tired, as if they were recently in a fight. The enemy patrol seemed rather uninterested in observing their surroundings and did not notice the scouts. When the enemy was far enough from their position, commander orders his men to follow the tracks, but to be on high alert, as there could be more enemy patrols up ahead. Not long after stumbling onto the German patrol, scout team finds what appears to be the remains of a camp. There are multiple bodies shot dead, a destroyed tent, and a campfire that is still warm. The fight must have happened recently. Quick search revealed that most of the bodies had some weapons with them, handguns, hunting rifles, and even German rifles. There are also the remains of some sort of makeshift explosives and grenades in one of the tents. It seems the camp and the ambushes were the work of some kind of local French resistance. Unfortunately, the German forces were able to find them first, and there was no more the Scots could do for the French resistance. More troops coming from the front. We're at 32, 31 for our count out here right now with just 2 back. We're getting them cleared really quickly with help from the ambulances. And that's already the next 4. And they're all general surgery. Terminal, this is one that would have been lost, but we're going to be able to save them. That's fantastic. Medic teams hanging in there so far. Nurses, we have a few that are exhausted. Their shift is over in an hour. They will make it for that hour. But engineers, I don't know what's going on with these engineers. They are on 12-hour shifts, yet something about this is just not working out. Okay, we are losses are starting to mount. So we had lost 2 already. Never seen what happened. We lost a 3rd one. Nurse leveled up. Wow, she's got triple negatives there. We could make her warm instead of strict. Well, let's start by making her less aggressive, I guess. We've now dealt with roughly half of the ADS patients, while the casualty clearing station has generally taken care of things fairly effectively for us. We're well on top of it. The operating ward going well. We've only lost 1 during operation so far, but we are definitely starting to take on some losses as 4 more patients have now been lost with no word, no notice as to what's going on with them. We had our 1 that died during operation more than 12 hours ago. The other 8 we've lost today, all were just simply lost. Didn't even get a notice, which really just means the front. A front that's down to 20. Definitely more than halfway cleared. Nice. A 5 down to a 1. That's a nice event right there. We're now good for the next 2 attacks, and apparently we're good for the attack to follow. They're liking our numbers. Fatigue down to nothing, over saving 2 resources when we have 88 of them. By the way, that huge shipment that we got, for one thing, we're already back to 98 on the military drafts. and all of the other supplies are good to go. It was well worth what we spent there. Friar Tuck monastery is filled with refugees. It seems the friars took in all who asked for shelter. The conversation with Friar Tuck was not easy. The friars don't want to leave the monastery, which had been their home for many years. They are not prepared to leave the refugees either. Friar Tuck is adamant that even if the friars were to leave, they would take the refugees with them, as they feel obligated to protect them. Besides, they are not equipped to evacuate and do not have any rations to survive the journey. Scout Commander knows that many of the refugees were probably too weak or old to make a long journey, and that's why they stayed at the monastery. Take them to the hospital. It's 20 new people, plus morale boost. Supply friars and refugees with rations to force them to evacuate. Use 40 food, but increase morale. Long term, that's going to be a lot easier than taking them in at the hospital. Scout team will leave Friar Tuck to his stubbornness, taking the last delivery. 10 alcohol per scout member, and morale drops. Do we want 20 mouths to feed? It's going to end up adding up towards that 40 food long term. Let's take them to the hospital. Refugees and friars are surprised at first, but agree to the scouts' offer. When the group departs, some of them approach the commander. They want to repay the scouts' kindness and offer them what remains of their possessions. It looks like all gifts combined may actually be helpful for the hospital. 2,500 freight, 20 freight. Not alcohol. Figured it would have been alcohol. Big decreased cost on that one. 318 and 49, by the way, with those 8 losses and 1 on the table to go with it, so 9 in all. But overall, we're plus 49 today, so 49 save. We're 1 away from making that 50. CCS, first arrivals from other fronts are coming in. 4 days till the end, by the way. We are really closing in on it pretty quickly at the rate we are going. Down to 16 here, so not long before we're going to have to make the shift, and the first sign of fatigue is starting to show up. Quadruple bonuses is nice. Still at 99% morale, and now the food is very high. 3 more bonuses. Okay, Village Dilemma, 1 of 3. Reaching the village, scout team finds only empty streets and abandoned houses. Villagers must have been evacuated in a hurry as most of the houses were left open, and there were multiple packages left just outside of the houses. It is doubtful that they will find a living soul here. We want to search the houses. Search beside supplies yielded tracks leading from the houses to the fields outside the village. They look relatively fresh and were probably made after the area was evacuated. Someone had searched these houses, probably looking for supplies. Scouts wanted to follow the tracks, but they quickly vanish in the fields. But we do find a good amount of supply, which is why I went for that search. We suddenly have 2 scout teams available, so we'll take care of that in a moment. But we have 3 more events. Oh, nice. 4 down to 0. No fatigue. 50th patient lost this one during operation. So 2 and 8 on the losses side of things. But we have nothing happening to the right. And we have 2 events to the left. There's one that this is definitely going to be closer for. So this is Village 2. And then we have another one here. And that's Village 3. 4 scout teams. It's all going rather quickly. ADS down to 8 in the trenches, down to 6 wounded. Nice. Okay, that's clearing right on up. 2 more patients lost, and without notice, just the one that was lost during operation. So 2 more lost somewhere out at the front, presumably in the trenches. That makes 10 from this battle. And that seems to be the standard now with 50 plus, even though we have full medic teams and have them leveled up as much as we can get them leveled up. We're going to lose about 10 per battle if we get 50 plus casualties. When we get mid-30s or below, we can cut that number down to just about nothing. 23 here, and you can see just how bad some of these patients are, just how rough some of these surgeries are. But unlike before, we can actually help everyone. Country road to hell. Searching the roads in the area took time and yielded no results. Each place where an ambush of German forces occurred gave the scouts no more clues than it gave the Germans. Scout commander decided that continuing to search was pointless and gave the order to return to the hospital. Suddenly, shots were fired. From the bushes down the road, commander shouted, and the entire team dropped to the ground to hide in a ditch at the side of the road. Controlled fire from multiple directions started raining down on the scouts' position, but none of the scouts could see the attackers, only the muzzle flashes. Scout commander did not know whether they were being attacked by a German squad or the Allied forces who mistook them for German. Perform a tactical retreat. Either way, you're looking at a bad situation. A tactical retreat is going to return fire anyway. So tactical retreat it is. No! Scout team killed? Really? Started to withdraw one by one. The ambushers did not leave their positions or try to chase them. Then a big German patrol appeared from the direction the scouts were retreating to. Stumbling upon the patrol, the scout team had no chance. They had nowhere to retreat or hide. Commander could only watch as his men died one by one. Well, that's rather tragic, and yet doesn't count here. Ay, ay, ay. One after another, yes, but this is brutal. Slow down. Pause. We got some serious fatigue to deal with here. Increased cost is okay. Well, you know what? We'll take the morale hit. 3% is not a big deal. Assignments. Close to collapsing. Okay. 7 waiting for medic team. 2 left in the trenches. Get the exhausted one out of there. And we'll address the others shortly. 3 nurses collapsed. In the middle of their shift. It's 3:55. They're hours away from the completion of their shift. This is not good and happening way too often. Things are a little bit out of control there. We can't afford to take those away from the CCS either, though. That was very unfortunate. And just as we unpause, we get more events. 5 supplies versus 1 star. Village Dilemma 3. Reaching the village, scout team finds barricades spread across the streets and between houses, made from wooden boxes, barrels, broken down carts. On top of the barricades, they see men carrying rifles. They appear to be dressed in Allied uniforms, mostly British and French. The commanding officer is surprised to see the scouts, but allows them to enter the village. He explains they were part of the evacuation forces. They were unable to evacuate the civilians in time, so they decided to stay in the village and protect it as long as they could. Hearing about the scouts' mission to bring them back, the officer looks enthusiastic, but quickly tells the scout commander that they will only evacuate if they can take the villagers with them. Scout commander frowns. There were around 50 people in the village. Even if some of them were soldiers, leading them through no man's land would be risky. But we're not leaving them. That's the whole point of them staying. You don't leave them and send bigger. No. No, you go for it. Agree to evacuate. That's plus 10 soldiers, plus 10 to the front, plus 25 civilians, mouths to feed, plus 10 wounded. To go to the CCS, HQ will provide 10 drafts and 8 staff contracts. We can get our scout team back. Okay, that mission carries on immediately because we only have 3 here. 4 fatigue. Now, I like the 5, but we're not talking about 1 star difference. We're talking about a 4 star difference. And those 5 supplies are not as big of a deal here. That's the one place where we have plenty of supply. 330, 52, 106. Trauma supplies are a little bit low. Otherwise, everything is fine. And we have plenty of military drafts to get on with that earlier. We're still very much in the recovery phase from this battle. But we're down to 6 wounded, all already here. And it's just a matter of getting them picked up and brought down. And just a short matter of time. 2 more scout missions are going to finish up very soon. and just 4 days from the major attack, and we nearly have enough firepower at the front. So at this point, it's mostly just about getting support for HQ to fight on other fronts. Now we're up to 52 losses. That's plus 12. We lost, what, 2 on the front? Two on the table, 10 from the front, right? And we're at 332. That's plus 61. So 61 and 12 was our total for this episode. Not the greatest. Not the greatest episode by any means, but it's still a good one for the chapter. And there was a lot going on following that battle, especially with the scout event that just opened up that whole can of worms for this episode. Rehab center overfilled, 27, all waiting. We're gonna send some to the front. In fact, it suddenly got us back down to good. There we go. That's enough. We'll send a little bit extra, and then everything else to HQ, which we haven't done for a while. You can see a lot of them are just waiting on decision. A lot of them. That's a lot of firepower that we are sending. That will definitely finish off that next platoon. Send a little more to the front, and maybe we're gonna have the others hold out a little bit longer. All right, folks. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I'm the Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.